Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the August Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee meeting to order. First item of business, approve the minutes from our last meeting. Call on Vice Chairman Commissioner Gooch.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
A motion. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we need to fill 2 vacancies on the Industrial Development Board and Health Education and Facilities Board. Commissioners, we have received 3 applications for those 2 vacancies. We received applications from Mr. James Baker, Mr. Bill Jones, and Mr. Randall Allen. I believe all 3 of those are in the audience. Applicants, as we always do, is our custom. We like to allow the applicants to make any comments they'd like to the committee, and then you'll be considered for recommendation. We'll start with Mr. Baker.
Well, you've heard me before, so I'll be very brief on it. I think we've, done a lot of work in Rutherford County. Most of it's paid off and good work, and we've produced a lot of good new employers to provide jobs. And working with the chamber, the IDB has kind of had a good record, and I would appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Any questions for Mr. Baker at this time? No? Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And my name is Bill Jones, and I'm here seeking reappointment to the Industrial Development Board. Filled an unexpired term about this time last year. Have enjoyed my service there. Feel like my work with Destination Rutherford, as well as the Chamber of Commerce on economic development projects and issues over the last several years, continues to be of interest to me, and would allow me to be an asset to the board. Again, I enjoy that, and enjoy the process of trying to find new business and industries to bring to town to the betterment of Rutherford County. So again, I appreciate your consideration. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions for Mr. Jones at this time?
I've got a question. Mr. Jones, it might have been you who was talking about in the paper, it might have been Mr. Baker, I'm not sure, about some of the projects that was worthwhile, and y'all voted for a tax abatement and agreements, and then some that were not worthwhile. Is it where you can speak on some of the ones that were not worthwhile? I mean, we all know the ones that benefit the county, but have there been any examples of?
Well, during my term, which has really been just the last 10 or 11 months, Mr. Baker,
Okay.
I'm not sure we've turned down any. So during my tenure, I didn't have the situation where
Okay.
we voted against what Mr. Baker may know something. He's been
I don't think we turned down any flat. We have made some adjustments in what
Okay.
people wanted and what they got.
Okay.
So it's kind of a negotiation process.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Allen.
Hello, my name is Randy Allen, and I am a last-minute applicant. Barely beat the deadline. I was in Mayor Burgess's office, 10 minutes ago. So my expertise has been as a resident of Rutherford County. I have worked as an employee. Also, the last 10 years I've spent working on the workforce development side. I'm currently employed with an agency called National Career Advancement Center. We cover Rutherford County as part of our area. I'm stationed or posted out here at the Murfreesboro Career Center. And I've been out there. We actually located at that facility in 2006, but I've been employed with them for the last 11 years. 6 years with National Career Advancement. Before that, the Tennessee Department of Labor. That's where my expertise for this would be. Although I would have to say that I did not think I would be in front of you this evening. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
What type of experience do you have as far as recruiting jobs to Rutherford County? You got anything like that?
Not recruiting jobs to Rutherford County, but I work in my daily, what I do daily is to work with employers who are currently in Rutherford County or are seeking information about the current workforce to expand their current businesses, or does our current labor force meet the requirements that they have? Do they need welders? How do we find welders? Where are welders? Do we need you know, mechatronics. I work with both educational facilities, training facilities, existing employers, potential employers in some cases. With the Chamber of Commerce, I'm a diplomat, have been for the last 4 years. So that's your question.
Any other questions for Mr. Allen? Thank you, Mr. Allen. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll nominate all three and we vote for two.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, Ms. Becky, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Black,
Mr. Baker and Mr. Jones.
Commissioner Farley,
Mr. Baker, Mr. Jones.
Commissioner Gooch,
Mr. Jones, Mr. Baker.
Commissioner Jordan,
Mr. Baker and Mr. Jones.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Mr. Baker, Mr. Jones.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Mr. Baker and Mr. Jones.
Commissioner Coggin,
Mr. Baker and Mr. Jones. Gentlemen, we appreciate all three of your applications. It's good to know we have such great people willing to serve the county. Mr. Jones and Mr. Baker, you'll be recommended to the full county commission on August 15th, the meeting beginning at 6 o'clock. Thank you all.
Thank you, fellas.
Next, we need to announce a citizen at large vacancy on the insurance committee to fill the unexpired term of Donna Andrews. That term is set to expire August 2016. Next, we need to announce two vacancies on the Codes Enforcement Adjustments and Appeals Board, those being of Robert Dean Warren and Joe Machoto. And now we have on the agenda a request from the U.S. Board on Geographic Names to change the name of Overall Creek to Grove Creek. Follow on that. Mayor, do you?
Well, you have the same information I have
Okay.
posted as with respect to a letter we received from the United States Board on Geographic Names. And some of you have done some homework on this. And Commissioner Phillips, I don't know if you're aware of all this or not, but this is in the, there's a small little creek. It's not the Overall Creek that we all know so well that crosses the Manson Pike out there, what used to be the Manson Pike, and runs through there. But there's a creek called Overall Creek that's partially and mostly in Rutherford and Williamson County, on the very, very line there. And there is some documentation here, and some of you that may have researched this historically, I've read this, just like you have, and it appears that somewhere in the neighborhood of 1957, the name of this creek got changed from Grove to Overall Creek. And no one that provided this information actually knows why. So
There you go.
this request is from the U.S. Board on Geographic Names, asking that Williamson County and Rutherford County consider whether that name would be appropriate to go back to the name that they feel is more historically appropriate. Now, Mr. Jordan, you may have talked to our historian. Did he have any take on this?
Matter of fact, he did. I talked a whole lot more than him.
Okay, good. You
But
go ahead.
Mr. Tucker did say that he would recommend that we approve this. So, and he offered to come tonight and said he would come and tell you himself. But when I told him which Overall Creek we were actually talking about, I thought we were talking about, he agreed wholeheartedly to go ahead and name it, and rename it. I was just wondering, Commissioner Phillips, do you even know where it is?
I did. I know the general area, but I have not talked to anybody because I didn't know that it was referring to that in my area. So I can't make a recommendation about the citizens in that area, whether they'd like to change it or not. I can do a little research before.
Anyone, I don't think it's necessary. Anyone that I have talked to, which is 3 or 4 people now, including our archives person who said, please don't do that. But he was referring to the creek that runs from Stale Shell Cave Road all the way to Florence. I think it's probably at some point, no, it's in your district for sure, but I think it's in yours and yours and yours. And he said as long as we were talking about the small little creek, which he didn't think there was even any water in it, and Ms. Marlin who said that she's not even sure that the part that's in Rutherford County is even in Rutherford County. She said it is so close. She said it's just a dry piece of So go ahead and rename it. It's all on here, what the request from Williamson County is. It's on here. And Mr. Mayor, I think you got a form to fill out, right?
Well, we have a form to fill out. If we don't fill this out, they will go ahead with this recommendation and assume that we have consented. But I can check a box here that says approve it, reject it, take action, or render a decision without a recommendation. So without further direction, unless Ms. Phillips comes up with something here short term, I would check approve the proposed name and move on.
Do we know for a fact that it is actually that creek instead of the overall creek that runs through all four of our
Yeah,
districts?
yes, I think we do.
We have a map, they
Okay.
prepared a map, they've got it, the exact location of where it begins and where it's end by latitude and longitude, so all of that's well documented.
With all due respect, this is the federal government. We all know what that means.
And the section in Williamson County is named Grover, right? Is that what you said?
Oh, it's
That's the other section?
now named overall, but she wants it
They
changed
want
back.
to Grove Creek.
Grove
Back to
Creek.
Grove.
Which they, with the federal, whoever did this homework, said that the historical name was Grove Creek until somewhere it got changed in 1957. Nobody knows why.
Is it somewhere out there around College Grove?
That's
and
exactly where it
and all that
is.
stuff?
Yeah, College Grove, Grove Creek, I mean, that's what they want to do,
Yeah.
take it back to what they think the name originally was, all the way back to 1786. Records of deeds, etc., included that name for that creek.
I have a wonderful motion that whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
You're ready? We've already discussed this in much greater length than probably we need to. I'd recommend that we just have the mayor answer the form, which is right there on your iPod. And Mr. Mayor, in approving this, that you indicate in your letter that, just make it clear that they're talking about that small, tiny, little snippet of a creek in Eagleville, and not the one that runs probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 miles
Yeah.
probably.
That's right.
So if,
Second the motion.
ooh, second.
I did.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
All for it.
Any discussion on the motion?
I can support it as long as it's not the overall creek that's running.
Well, he's gonna put that was in the motion, right?
Yeah.
That's right. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we need to discuss the audit committee membership. Ms. Nolan, would you like to join us?
Yes.
I hope you'd say yes.
I did not get this in time to get on your iPads. So
Well.
you get paper.
Oh, I can't. It's not on the iPad.
Well, here. I'll find it.
Thank you.
Don't know how to act in paper.
I know. It's like, what's that? Well,
You gotta do like this.
y'all have to share.
Right,
Okay.
don't move.
Somebody else need one?
So I'm asking, ultimately, I'm asking for your direction. And it's the makeup of our audit committee. And I'll give you that to read section 2 on who makes up our audit committee. It's 7 members, 2 from the county commissioner, 1 from the Board of Ed, 1 from the road board, and 3 citizens. And that one of the citizens have to be a CPA, either active or inactive. Says no audit committee member will be an elected official with the exception of elected county commissioners, members of the Board of Education, and members of the road board, employee, spouse of an official, or the person that commingles, but it's the elected part I want you to focus on. Okay, so we had one of our citizens, Mr. David Nipper, was placed on our committee and subsequently after that became a school board member. So there has been a question, should he come off that committee now that he is a school board member? So I brought this to Mr. Cope, and I'll just read you what he said. Let's see. So I should have marked mine. Okay. The above provisions suggest that 4 county officials are the only elected officials that are to serve on the committee. Accordingly, since there is already 1 elected school board member, Wayne Blair. It appears that Mr. Nipper, previously appointed as a citizen, may be disqualified by virtue of his becoming an elected official, serving as a member of the Board of Education. Better stated, when Mr. Nipper became an elected official, by virtue of his election to the County Board of Education, he was no longer permitted to serve in his capacity as one of the 3 citizens of Rutherford County. Then, flip side. This could be argued, however, because the above
there's another
wording,
side to it.
this other side, states that with the exception of members of the Board of Education, with the use of the plural members, that this perhaps implies that one, more than one member of the Board of Education could serve on the committee. I responded back to him that when you, what was intended from, and CTAS helped to put this together, when it says that, that no audit member will be an elected official. What we were really meaning is the county trustee, the county clerk, circuit, register of deeds, those elected officials who are full-time employees, that they should not serve. Okay, so if you ask Lisa Nolan, I would say you just, when you were put on as a citizen, just because you're an elected no longer, I mean, that doesn't mean that you're no longer a citizen. You're always a citizen. So his last response to my point on that, he said the county commission can modify the resolution if they want to do so to narrow down those county officials who are prohibited for serving. So I just kind of, I mean, I can do it either way. It's, to me, it's how you feel, how this board feels. I can come back with language to either narrow it down or, make it be more specific on who that elected official is.
Mr. Nipper still wanting to serve?
He will be happy to serve, but then he'll, it's whatever that y'all decide to.
How was this brought up?
I had one of the board members just question it, can he still serve?
Well, I certainly don't want to remove Mr. Nipper from the committee unless we're made to do it.
Now, I'm just reminding you, citizens, once we get, we go through the initial where you have those staggered terms, they will serve 4 years. School board and road board serve 2-year terms at a time, and county commissioners serve the full 4 years. So that school board member is going to rotate, but that I can't remember how long he's on. If he's I think he's a 3-year.
Is it mandatory for them to rotate as far as elected officials, or can they just keep applying?
Oh, they can keep applying. They can keep applying. I mean, it would be no different. I mean, like when the
For any other board,
commission. The reason that we did the school board and the road board is because you've got half always, flipping, potentially flipping, and so we didn't want to put somebody in on those boards for 4 years, knowing that they may have to come off. So we just said, okay, 2 years we'd get in that cycle, and we would always have
It's
somebody
no different
serve.
than what we do on the planning commission. Every 4 years, the planning commission, county commissioners are set by the mayor every 4 years during the election or after election.
So,
And the citizens 2 or 4?
citizens will ultimately be 4,
4, okay.
But we staggered it because.
but they're staggered.
Yeah, okay.
How we had like a 1-year serve, and then we've got, then
Right.
they start doing 4, and I think the citizens are off years, like every 2 years, 1 citizen will roll off, and the next time, 2 citizens will roll off. Or come up,
I'm
come up.
I'm like Jeff there, to be honest with you. I mean, he was not a school board member when he first got appointed to the audit committee. I hate to penalize somebody that's went out here and ran for public office, and when they're willing to serve and doing a good job, as far as I know. I'd hate to.
If I remember though, when we appointed him, 'cause I think the world of David, don't get me wrong, but it was during the almost before the election, but he was running, and he said, I think he said that if he won the election, he would come off. Am I incorrect on that?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
It just seems to me that the intent of this is to have 3 citizens. Of course, we're all citizens, but not elected citizens. And it seems like we're being asked to rewrite the rules because one of our members of the audit committee was elected to something.
Well, and I get, you know, if one person questions something, then other people maybe question it too. So I can, if you feel comfortable with somebody who maybe was, you know, think about this. What if Joe Blow citizen runs and then as a citizen and then he becomes a county commissioner?
Theoretically,
it
the
won't
whole
work
committee-
because it would rotate off anyway. That wouldn't happen if it was a commissioner.
Well, theoretically,
'Cause
the
they would run.
whole audit committee could be stacked with elected people.
It could.
And I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent was to have 3 citizens.
Mr. Blair went on because of he volunteered.
Blair was the school board
Right,
representative.
he volunteered to the rest of the school board members, if I remember right,
Mhm.
and they said, fine. So that's how he ended up on there. David, of course, Ms. Nipper was a little different. And Mr. Gooch, I don't remember what he said. He did address that, didn't he?
I remember him
But
saying
I don't
that-
remember what he said.
As we was appointed, because I think it was contested, that if he was elected, he would obviously come off.
Well, instead of doing something tonight, why don't we, when we just ask him, it may take care of itself.
No, I mean, he will do it either way. I mean, I talked to him. Whatever the wish of this, you know, what y'all decide, and if it is, I mean, I would, whatever y'all decide, I will come back with language to make it clear, so we won't have a question. I just didn't know which way you wanted to go.
We're having the conversation because of the S on members. Is that why members of the Board of Elected?
Mm-hmm. Because
Board of Education?
because it could, you know, with members, then you could have 2.
One place it says 1, and one place it says 2. But I think the S on members there I think that's ambiguous. I don't think that.
Well, it says clearly 1 member of
Yeah.
the Board of Education. And I don't want anyone tweeting Facebook and I have anything against David Nipper, because I don't.
Me
But I
either.
think
No,
that
but
the
I think
integrity
it's-
of this
is that you gotta look at it
resolution.
far into the future. Oh, we haven't had an audit committee
Yeah.
until whenever we did this,
Right.
you know? So, I mean, we did this in June of 2013.
Well, we appointed him because he was an outstanding citizen.
With right, and he's still an outstanding.
That's correct.
But I think the integrity of the audit committee will be compromised if we start changing the rules, because one of the members of the audit committee was elected.
See,
I somewhat
just-
agree.
I don't feel like you mess with integrity of it because he went on as a citizen. He's not a day-to-day.
He's not
An
running
employee.
operations
He's not-
of a department.
Right. So, you know,
How
see,
did-
I guess I'm saying that there's 2 different
I
feelings.
can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
How did the road board represent? Did they go before the road board committee and they
I
choose,
think on
and
that
then-
one they voted.
voted?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
See, Mr. Bratcher.
that way,
Right.
Right.
But I think at that time, Mr. Johnson also was, you know, it was between those 2 and they voted Mr. Bratcher.
well, I hate to throw it back on the school board, but,
No, I mean, Blair is the school board representative.
right.
I mean, that's not,
But with this dilemma here, it said us, I'd like to maybe send it back to the school board and let them choose.
no, I mean, they don't need to choose because
Yeah.
Blair is
He's
the
on for the 4-year
representative.
term for
He
that.
is the-
Yeah,
the
elected
2-year.
official. What?
He-
Okay.
Right, he's the 2-year.
Okay.
He is the school board. I guess the question I would have is, you know, take the personality of the people out of it.
mhm.
If somebody runs for one of those 2 boards, if they happen to be serving as a citizen, do you think they should step down from the audit committee? And if yes, well, you know, we can write it, get rid of the S's, that is the intent.
I agree with Commissioner Gooch. I think that's, you know, you decided to run for an office, an elected office. You were fortunate enough to win that elected office, and you have the opportunity to serve later on that committee, audit committee, through the school board. It's just, it's being covered right now under another member. And so it's not knocking Mr. Nipper out. Like I say, I don't have anything against Mr. Nipper. I think good guy, but I think what we have in writing and what we have in, as far as what we meant, I think, and the integrity of what we're trying to do here,
You just got
it's
to
giving
say
him the
that
opportunity.
If you take the personalities out of it, what's
Yeah.
the right thing to do?
Right.
Yeah.
I
Well,
understand.
I'm not putting the personalities in it.
No, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And think of it, and thinking of this as a long-term document
Mhm.
and guidance that the county will be using.
I don't like this, but I think the intent of the rule was to have one school board member serve.
Right.
I don't like that particularly, and I didn't see this problem, as I don't guess any of us
Right,
did, but
right.
I think that's the intent.
Yeah.
Now, I think Mr. Nipper and Mr. Blair both would agree with that. I think they would agree. Don't know, but I think so.
Is that a motion? Do we have a motion?
I mean, I'm going to work to make it more clear, because right now there's a
Well,
question.
we really don't need a motion, do we? Are you gonna bring something back and?
I was hoping you would
Need
tell me
direction. Yeah, we need
kind
a
of what
motion for
direction
direction.
you were coming from, and then I will come back and bring you
Just-
clarified language
Clarify it.
to be one person on the school board or one person on the road board, and that it does mean, okay,
Or that the 3 citizen at large positions
three citizens are
elected
not
officials?
elected official in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Especially not the sheriff.
And maybe we should go further, because this could easily happen again.
That's what I'm saying, it could.
And if
Right.
elected, then
At any time.
Yeah.
So if you're elected, you're
Right.
gonna have to step down from the audit committee.
Yeah.
And that probably needs to be put in there.
Well, I mean, I'll just make it, I'll get with Mr. Cope to make it clear that
Okay.
that is what you mean, is that there are the only elected officials, whichever way you classify it, is only one school board member, 2 commissioners, and 1 road board. And that the 3 citizens are not in any county elected capacity, because what if you have a citizen that's on the
Let me muddy the
city
water.
of Murfreesboro or
Muddy the water
Smyrna?
even more.
I think we're
Why-
good about
Refresh my
elected
memory,
capacity.
why is there 2 county commissioners
So
and only 1
that's
school board?
no city, no
One
county,
road
no,
board.
That's right.
You remember?
you can be a member
If
of the
you
elected
remember,
board.
we did initially
they
have
elect them.
5. The proposal that I put before you was the 2 commissioners, 1 road board, 1 school board, thank you, and 1 citizen, and y'all added the 2 other citizens.
Right, I remember I was, on the
Yeah.
citizen part, I was one for that.
Yeah, you're the one who did it.
I'm the
yeah.
one done that, on the citizenry.
Yeah.
No, if your Jim thinks, I mean, that in there, I mean, we don't see these things until they are surface like this. So, in elected capacity, period. So that's elected on elected on the electric board, elected maybe on the water board or something. However they elect them, or none of those people could be on this. So it'd be just.
Is that what you want?
I think so. Elected officials, elected city council, elected anybody, nobody that's been elected can be on the.
Well, some of those, Becky's saying,
committee.
are appointed officials. They're not
Appointed, I
elected.
think, is maybe different. I'm talking about, we said elected.
Somebody who runs.
I mean, it's in here.
Define
But see,
elected.
I would think elected
To what?
official is like, that deals with the county stuff. I would,
Tennessee Electric got elected board members.
I
They're
mean-
elected by the,
That's what I was saying. They're elected by the membership,
yeah, but.
which we're all kind of members
They're
of.
elected.
But when you're looking at audit committee, you're looking at somebody who's looking at us, our operations. So somebody who's on, let's say, a Smyrna council, they are not in our operations in no capacity. So why would you penalize them
why would we
from
penalize,
serving?
I'm not saying you are, but why would we penalize Mr. Nipper? Because he
Well,
just got elected?
I wouldn't.
I know, I'm not saying you are, I'm playing devil's advocate here. So,
Because he is elected to a board that oversees a county operation of which, the finance department is doing all their books and records. You know, I don't do books and records of Middle Tennessee Electric, or Town of Smyrna, or City of Murfreesboro. They're looking at our operations.
Is there any time that Smyrna and Laverne, Murfreesboro money exchange from different government to the other?
They pay me, I pay them, but I do not have anything to do with their books and records. They don't have anything to do with my books and records.
Trying to think his process out.
I would, yeah. I mean, I think it's good.
I think county elected officials would kind of cover our bases, something to that effect.
Okay. Am I good?
I think so. Any other questions from Ms. Nolan? All right. You think next month will be good? Or, okay. We'll put that on the agenda.
Do y'all need
She's gonna
You're
take
gonna
care of
have a motion when I bring back the
Bring it back.
language. Unless y'all are saying, no, don't do that. That's what I'm gonna do.
But while you're asking our attorney, ask him about what I was asking about. Elected. Elected, the broad term elected. Elected for anything, elected.
Define elected,
Elected.
Okay. Define elected.
as far as elected office.
You know what? I can put in here, whereas an elected official is considered a define. I'll do that.
But if they become appointed, they're automatically official of the county, right?
Yeah. We're not talking about appointed. Elected.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next, we need to announce the election of Chairman Pro Tem at September Commission meeting. We need to announce the election of the chaplain at the September Commission meeting. We need to announce tentative election of Commission Chairman at the August Commission meeting. And we need to announce the election of the Steering Committee at the August Commission meeting. Next, Commissioner Phillips. We have department heads' reports to committees. Commissioner Phillips asked me to place this on the agenda for this month due to some concerns or thoughts that she had regarding this topic. So, Commissioner Phillips.
Mr. Chairman, one quick question
Yes.
before you move on to that. The one right behind it there that you just said about the steering committee.
Yes.
So a steering committee, it will be elected here next Thursday night?
Yes.
Okay. I was
Yes.
thinking you said announce. But we are doing it, though.
Announce the election, yeah.
We're announcing it and doing it. Okay.
Yes.
So be prepared. Gotcha.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Phillips.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Colgan, for allowing me to speak to you. I think it's important for you to understand kind of where we're coming from before I tell you kind of some of my ideas on fixing the issue. Most of you know that in the past year we've had some issue on Public Works Committee with information not knowing all of the information that we should have known in certain instances. And so when I began thinking about that as chairperson of that committee and what we could do to fix that issue, I also began thinking about some of my other committees that I served on. I'm on Public Works as well as Public Safety. And so I began thinking about the reports from other departments on both of those boards. And I think if you'll sit here and think about the committees that you're on and think about the reports that you get from department heads, they're varied vastly. And I'm not talking about very specific information. For example, the Building and Codes Department presenting how many violations they had that month. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about general information. So, for example, I'm on Public Safety. The sheriff is here, so his report, I'll just tell you real quickly, we typically will get a printout of every line item that they have and exactly how much money they have in every single line item for their budget. On Public Safety, though, so that's very detailed information on a budget side, okay? But then over on Public Works, for example, the Highway Department, we don't get anything unless it's something that the commission has to vote on. And so I began thinking, what information do we as a commission need to know every single month from our department heads? And, you know, the first thought is we as a committee could come up with a list of things that, or tell each department head what information we'd like to know from that department. That would be a very simplified route to fix the problem. But then, you know, in a year we're going to have election, we've got new people coming in. You know, do they know what information they need to have? Whenever we have a new department head, does that new department head know what information that we as the committee would like to have? So I came up with the idea that it might be a beneficial to many different parties if we had a very generalized list of information that the committee would like to have received from a department head. So for example, maybe we would like to know budgets quarterly or budgets monthly, or maybe we'd like to know activity from the department head. For example, the fire department, we get a list of every single thing that Chief Farley does every single month. So do we want to know every single thing that the department head does? Do we want to know when a state office comes in and does a report on that department? Do we want to know when they came in and audited and what they found? So I just thought, number one, it would help the commissioners on the committee to know, exactly what we wanted, and then also it would help the department heads to know exactly what we as a committee wanted. Especially if we got a new department head. I remember when our Paws got the new department head, there was a learning curve there for several months of trying to figure out exactly what was needed and what information we wanted. And I think department heads would appreciate knowing exactly what we wanted. I think sometimes it's kind of thrown up. They do the same thing every single month, but they might like to know what's expected of them as a committee report. I also think that it would streamline, the process and make it a little bit easier for them as well as us in our department meetings. Now, I want to clarify something though. I'm not saying specific information like, well, your department needs to give, I go back to building codes, your department needs to tell us how many violations you've logged for that month, because the sheriff's office, we might not need that information from the sheriff's office. I'm talking about generalized information, okay? So maybe one would be budgets, maybe one would be reports from state offices. Does that make sense?
Are you talking about all committees or just the committee you're chairing?
I'm talking about all committees.
Well, the chairman, in my opinion, has that latitude to ask that department head for any additional information at any time.
Oh, and we do all the time.
And then if you want to if you need a vote on it, then you get a motion on the floor, ask for one, and it's done. And that department head needs to bring that information to you monthly, quarterly, whatever you decide you need or want.
You're exactly right.
And that's where the history of these departments have come down through the years of reporting, and they tweak from time to time because additional things are needed, or chairmans need extra stuff, or the committees decide they want something different than what's being done, or you may have a different department head, like you said,
right.
And so that changes or it's tweaked constantly.
That's exactly right. But I think if you go back and you look at the history of the Public Works Committee, there was so many new commissioners on the committee, we didn't know what we were supposed to be looking at. I mean, when you came onto the commission, did you know exactly what you needed to be looking at?
I did.
And I think, I just think if we had a generalized little policy, and like I said, nothing specific, and we do both the committees almost every single month, there's somebody that says, hey, can you give me this information next month? I mean, that happens all the time.
Right.
That's right. But I think if we had a policy as a commission that we saw certain pieces of information from the departments, then it would make it a little bit easier for the department heads to know, I definitely need to give this every single month. It's not that they just want to see it next month. And then it will also help new commissioners in the future to know exactly what they definitely need to be seeing as a commissioner. Does that make sense?
The way I look at my job as a county commissioner is to set legislation for this county commission. I don't think it's my job to micromanage a department head. That department head, in my opinion, reports to the mayor, except for two departments, budget, finance, and HR. They report to the county commission. And then they also work with the county mayor. I just can't see that a department head, if we ask them for something, they're going to jump through hoops and give that to us. They have every one that I've ever asked for, even if they've not liked the question I've asked them, they've always given me the information that I've asked for. That's how I see the committee process. And
that's why I'm saying, what information do we actually need? I mean, are we getting more information than we need from some departments? Are they wasting time creating reports on information that we don't necessarily need? And are we getting the information that we do need?
What information have we not gotten?
So, well, in this specific instance, it was TDEC was coming in and doing audits and what's the word I'm looking for?
Inspection.
Inspections, thank you. They were inspecting our landfill and we weren't getting that information. And that would have been helpful for us as a committee to know for budget planning information, making sure that issues are getting taken care of.
That department head he's supposed to have that information, and the county mayor. They get that information, and the department head is supposed to be able to reveal it to the committee.
Well, and I think if I had known to ask for it, I didn't know that they were coming in and giving inspections almost every month. If I had known to ask for it, then I could have asked for it, but I didn't.
Well, it's like, for example, and I'm just going to use public safety because that's the committee I chair, the sheriff's office. I've always known that the corrections people come in and inspect the sheriff's department. I've asked for the sheriff to bring those inspections of what they, same thing with the workhouse. They inspect that. You know, I know things that the state's coming in and doing, like the building codes department, but they're audited every 3 years, and you know, to ask them what's the state saying, you know, and they should give us that information once that occurs, you know. So
right, and that's why.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can tweak your agenda to if that department head, if that's something your committee needs or wants, then request that. I need it every time the state comes in and does an inspection.
And we have.
We
have from now. But what I'm saying is for in the future, it would be nice if we had a policy, you know, as a county that says we need this information so that, you know, who's to say in 2-3 years down the road we don't have a whole new commission and they're not getting the information that they need, or new department heads come in and they don't realize that we need that information. So that's what's happened in this past 3 years. We've kind of not realized that we needed that information.
Well,
and
let me ask this: Have you got something you want to present of a policy that you're asking for?
I don't have a specific one because Commissioner Coggin and I had discussed it, and we decided that we would just kind of leave it up because steering's going to be changing, and we kind of wanted to bring it to you this month so you could think about it, and then after the new committee gets together, it can go on next month, and then.
I just want to make a few broad statements, okay, and how difficult all of this process of discussion really is. Let's talk about the people that actually report to the committees. Clearly, the two people that Commissioner Farley mentioned are the only two people that report to the commission, the HR department director and the finance director. Just by historical methods, I don't know how this even happened. The only two elected officials that are reporting on a routine basis to the commission is the sheriff and the mayor. The highway department doesn't report on anything except their budget requirements. The school board doesn't basically report on anything except their budget requirements. Everybody, the only thing that's constant across all of this discussion is every department, every elected official, including the school board and the highway department, the budgets are approved and budget amendments are approved. That's the only common ground. For some reason, none of the elected officials have ever reported since I've been here. I don't know about, you'll know more about this than I do, but the other elected officials are not reporting on a routine basis. Therefore, the mayor and the sheriff, I don't know exactly why they are reporting. Not to say that we don't mind,
That's
we don't
another
mind
issue.
reporting. Huh?
You know, that's another issue why I brought this up. Do we need to be getting reports, right?
Well, and what little documentation we have even refers to quarterly reports in your commission handbook. And then one other little document might say, this one committee said a monthly report. So all of this is inconsistent. So if the sheriff and I wanted to say we don't want a report, there wouldn't be any reports except the budget approval process and the budget amendment process. Therefore, I think what we're trying to do is work on a good common faith here to do the best we can to give you the information we need to do. But we don't want to put this in place. You know how, Commissioner Phillips has already said, what happens in these departments is vastly different. The information that they gather and the process and the services providing is different. So every one of them has some measure of volume of work, whatever that might mean, but they would all be different. So I'm not really equipped at this point to say how we could generate something that would be uniform enough that we could develop a policy. And I don't think I'm ready to accept such a policy at this moment because I don't understand the history of why much of our county does not have any reporting mechanism.
One thing to add to it, and I've often wondered this since I've been in office, I'm the only elected official that comes to public safety with budget amendments, and when I talk about my budget issues, I've wanted to throw out at times all the other statistics that we have going on. Naturally, if I did that on a monthly basis, just us alone would probably take 2.5 to 3 hours to talk about the jail side and talk about patrol, and I don't hit on that. I hit with budget, and then I go to budget, and I've often wondered, why do I come to public safety with budget to go to budget?
Yeah.
You know, really and truly, all the other elected officials, when they got a budget amendment or something like that, they come straight into budget and finance, and then they go on. And I'm the only elected official that comes to public safety and then goes to budget.
Well, no, I think if there's been others.
Well,
elected officials.
Well,
Yeah.
the mayor has any number of departments.
The
that
highway
comes to
department
public-
does.
Comes to public safety.
Highway department comes to Public Works.
The judges, their officers and stuff sometimes come before the budget amendments and things like
Maybe they
that.
don't have as many budget.
Anything to do
Yeah.
with budget comes to
Yeah.
a committee, then to the budget committee. then to
Because
the full
that
commission.
committee, like Public Safety or Public Works or Health and Ed, is a recommending body to the budget committee, you know, that we're in support of it or not. It's the way I've understood it.
The reason why you have a budget representative on
Oh,
every committee.
right.
So they know what's
going on.
coming.
I'm not saying
And can-
it's a bad idea. I'm just saying, that's why I was asking, have you got
Right,
something?
no, it's a big idea that I felt like we needed to all have a discussion instead of me sitting down and saying, here, I want you to pass this tonight so we can go on with it to commission next time, because it needs to be a discussion.
It's gonna take a while.
It is, and going back to the budget issue, I can definitely see how some departments, you know, whenever we sit down at budget time, we might sit down and look at a budget and have no idea, do they really need this money? You know, what was the previously spent the past year? And I feel like sometimes we don't have the information we have. Sometimes we have way more information than we would ever need. But it's not, there's not a quick fix.
The Public Safety Committee, I guess, out of all the committees, we receive more information from any other committee in the process. That's why our meetings are 3.5, 4 hours long sometimes.
We have more departments too.
More departments.
Ms. Nolan, I'm sorry. No.
I was just gonna say that we do provide all commissioners every month what every department is spending. Let me see, so y'all do get that.
Right.
I was just thinking what, I've been honored to chair the Health and Ed for 4 years, and I was just thinking what would I change about this information, and I really, nothing to my knowledge has come up in the 4 years that I knew about, and if it had, the one thing that I'd say about what you're saying is that if we ask a question, perhaps a difficult question or one that required a lot of statistics, it's possible that we'd have to wait a month to get the answer. I got that part, but that has never been a problem in 4 years. Ms. Jolly represents the Finance Department on special projects, and if she's not there, Ms. Nolan is. They can answer any question. The Health Department, Ms. Garrett is here every time, and her reports are in terrific detail on everything that they do. And the community care, Ms. Cook is on the committee, and Mayor is always there, and he's chairman of the committee, which leaves us with the school board, and Mr. Sandvik, and our Mr. Clardy, and our Mr. Odom, Director Odom. They're always there. So there's nothing, I don't recall us needing information. I see what you're driving at, however. I understand what you're driving at. And I can see how it might apply to Commissioner Farley more than anybody else. Now, you've got 3 chairmen here, not counting Mr. Cotton. Mr. McAdoo also, which I have no idea what he's going to say here in a minute, or if he needs anything. But Mr. Farley, I've served on that committee for 2 years, and we did hear a lot of different departments, and we did have a lot of questions.
Right.
Just about every time
Right.
you have questions, they have to go back and get it.
Yeah.
Right.
I get that part of what you're saying.
Well, I know when I was chairman of Public Works years ago, and I was chairman of Public Works for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, something like that. It was right. You know, I was the chairman when we shut down the landfill, and when BFI at the time picked ours up. You know, and it was you know, we didn't always have all the information that we needed at that meeting. And so we had to ask for additional information or whatever, and then we would have to get that. But through the governmental process, it was another month before we could get that. But it was a strenuous time, you know. I mean, a lot of things going on and a lot of other things being looked at, and it was just you had to weed through all that. And there's going to be times where we don't have all the information we need at that point, and we have to pick it up next month. But that's you as a chairman staying close to the people that your heads of the departments and communicating with them on a regular basis, so everything's not a shock when you're making that agenda or when it comes meeting time.
Being the chairman, and you know the other chairman, as chairman of public safety, I'm constantly on the phone with each one of those department heads, knowing and asking questions and telling them.
And committee members.
Yeah, you know, telling them to say, you know, they'll call me and say, I want to bring this up in the meeting. Come on, you need to bring this, and I'll have a committee member call me and say, I want, just like here recently, Commissioner Schaefer wanted the sheriff to bring up something on wheel tax. He called me and I asked him, I said, and at the time I couldn't make the phone call. I asked Commissioner Schaefer, I said, call Vicki, make sure it's on the agenda. And I said, if you'll call the sheriff and give him a heads up, I'd appreciate it, because at the time, I couldn't make that phone call. Or if someone calls, there's a lot of times they'll call and they'll say, we missed this budget meeting, or this public safety meeting, can we get on the budget? And I will approve it. And what I usually do, I will try to get them to call Commissioner P, he's the budget committee member, to give him a heads up that it's coming to budget. So there's a lot of work and a lot of communication
It
being a
is,
chairman.
and I would like to say this. I think Public Works, from the department heads and the committee in general, has handled the situation well in the last year, and we're on the right track. We now know we've got to get those, you know, those reports every single month from the state. But I would like to see if there's a way, if we can come up with a way to possibly prevent something like similar to this happening in the future. You know, we've got our issue fixed now, but I like to learn from my mistakes, and so that those mistakes aren't repeated in the future for new commissioners.
Yes, sir.
A couple of things. The mayor stated that there are only 2 elected officials that give reports, but I can assure you, that's in the past, I've been here some time, that if an elected official refused to give the county commissioner report, we got that report one way or the other. And then, after the 4 years of their term, 99% of the time, they wasn't an elected official no more. And that's number one. The information you're asking about, like Gary said, that we call Vicky office to get something, put it on the agenda. But as being chairman, a lot of department heads and elected officials will call me up and have me to come over and sit down and discuss what they want on the agenda. Then in terms, I will call Vicky office and get it put on the agenda. And that's worked fine, you know. I see what you're saying, something long-term where if new members on the committee would know exactly what to ask for and what not to ask for or whatever. But the process that we got now works pretty good to me, you know. But what you got to do, you got to look at your committee and see what department heads report to this committee. And then you got to set up a communication link with that department head. That's what I do on a monthly basis, you know. And then if a committee member call me up and they want something specific, then I let that department head know that at the next meeting, we want this information, you know. So it's worked. It worked. So if you can come up with a general outline, it might be for a specific committee, you know. But as far as overall, it'd be highly impossible to put a general list together for each committee to ask each department head.
They've got different goals,
They got
different objectives.
information, different things.
Public safety is different than property management.
Right.
Health and Ed is different than public works.
Health and Ed. So, but as far as an elected official, I assure you that if you ask an elected official,
And they always have.
Oh, they will.
They always have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other comment, Silly. I think one of the most healthy things we could do is for the committee chairperson or a member of any member of the committee to first go to the elected official and have that discussion.
Right.
yeah, it's work.
Well, here's what I would like to see happen. And from our discussion that we've had, I think it might be beneficial if we maybe next month after the new members are elected, just kind of discuss and over the next month think about, is this something that we need to do? Each committee maybe come up with a generalized policy, which I can go and do that this month with my committee. Or do you see a benefit in having a general policy across the county?
I mean, and I'll say this, I mean, no disrespect whatsoever, but I honestly believe in public safety people, the department heads of public safety and elected officials. If we ask them for the moon, they're gonna give it to us 10 times more than we'll probably want. And
history has proven that.
Right.
And I think all of our department heads across the whole county are high quality people, and they've always given that information.
But I think coming up with something where it's set for each one of those departments, they're so different. You know, one thing for the sheriff may be different than one thing for the EMA, or one thing for Paul's may be different for.
And that's why I didn't say, I said not specific. You know, for example, if we were looking at budgets, do we want to see line item expenditures every single month?
Well, I'll tell you what.
From every department.
I'll tell you why the sheriff. I've been on public safety for 20 years. And I
How
tell you-
many?
20 years. And I tell you, the reason the sheriff brings that to the public safety is their report, that is in the general fund, next to the school board. I mean, that's probably the biggest amount of budget wise, and that's why we get that every month, to know what's going on in the sheriff's department. That's the history of that. That's why that comes that way. The other departments are not as we get that from the budget office, but that's why the sheriff does it that way.
And
He may
if we
not do that
were,
himself,
but
that's why.
if we were to make a policy, it wouldn't say this is only information we need. I mean, I'm not that dense to think that.
Oh, I didn't say, no, I didn't mean it that way.
I think, Commissioner Phillips, I think that we would all agree wholeheartedly with the sentiment that it would be great to have a systematic process for us, for new commissioners, new chair people coming in to know what to expect when you sit down. The problem is trying to standardize that into a policy. But I think we've had some good discussion on this, and you kind of know where we are as a committee, I think. But I think what might be a good route to go is, as chairperson, if you want to go back to your committee and start crafting some type of policy for your committee. I mean, you're definitely, and whether or not you formalize it, but maybe it's just something that you use as a chairperson. And there may be other chairmen or chair people out there that want to do the same thing. And then maybe we could have at least something to go off of. And you could show how you come back and share with us how it's worked in your committee, and maybe we could build off of that. Because I think you've got some details in your mind. Maybe we're not sharp enough to pick up on it and see how it applies to the whole committee process.
Well, and another idea has popped in my head too. If each committee crafted a little information sheet, not necessarily formal to the point that we pass a resolution, but just kind of an information sheet for new committee members coming in, new public, new chairman, and then that way we as a committee can hand that to those new members and the new chairman or new department heads, and then it can help the future people.
A good chairman or chairperson, when a new member comes on, will ask, is there anything that you would like to know about how public safety?
Did you do that to me?
Yes, I did. I sure did.
You did it to me.
That way, that it helped in any way whatsoever and through the process. And if someone's a new chairman, a chairperson of a committee, like you were in Public Works this past time, hey, people on Public Works ought to offer to you as well to say, hey, this is things that's been going on, and answer some of your questions. It's called basically communicating through the community process.
I didn't really find an issue coming from being a committee member to the chairperson an issue, because you don't just kind of jump onto a committee and become the chairperson. You already know what's going on.
It could happen. You never know.
Well, it could happen. But in my sense, it didn't. I mean, this is the way the committee has been ran for years since I've been on. My third year on, and so when I came onto the committee, that's how it was ran, and we didn't get that information, and I didn't know that we needed it. So, and most of the committee didn't either.
Well, that issue you're talking about there, it's in my district, and I'm gonna be on it. That's like I told the public, and I know we're getting away from what you're talking about, but I know where you're going and where you're coming from, but I'm gonna be on it, and I expect that department head to give me some information.
Commissioner McAdoo.
I got one question that was passed up from the audience, which makes sense, that we look at maybe requiring outgoing committee chairman to brief the new committee chairman coming on board. Maybe that's not happening in detail. In other words,
That's kind of what I was talking about, communicating.
Yeah.
We
may look at trying to set up some policies or some, something where outgoing can talk to the new or whatever that needs to be.
It'd be difficult if it's a hostile takeover.
Well, I know
And two, we gotta watch, another thing we gotta watch out for is the sunshine law.
Yeah, gotta watch out for that.
All right.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. If we don't, if y'all don't want to come back with this as a committee, as a full commission, that's fine. But personally, I'm going to go ahead and do a sheet of information sheet for that I can hand out to new committee members if we have new committee members, and just a suggestion.
Did you share that with the entire commission?
Sure.
Just put a copy in our boxes. I'd like to see it.
I'm willing to, if there's something new and something different, that's better, I'm willing to look at it.
Yeah, they can help communication. I'm definitely for it.
Good deal. Thank you, Commissioner Phillips.
Thank you for your input.
I would like the record show that both Sonia Stevenson and Lisa Nolan were in attendance of two people that report to the committee.
One of them just left.
And as chairman, I'd like to ask if there's anything y'all would like to know. 3 years later, all that stuff. Sorry. Next, we need to reschedule September meeting due to Labor Day holiday. September 4th is the recommended date. Can everybody put that on your calendar? I don't think we need a motion for that, do we? Okay. We plan on same time, 5:30, September 4th. That is a Wednesday. All right, any other business?
One other thing that I want to mention, and that is, before he jumps in and does it for me, we had a great open house yesterday at Stewart's Creek High School. It was absolutely terrific. Of course, we had a chance to tour it before, and then also on Thursday night, the commission could tour it, and then Sunday had an open house, and it was a big deal. And Mr. Odom spoke great, and Mr. Blair was absolutely super, and Clark Harrell, the principal, was very fired up, but the best speech was given by Mr. Steve Sandler.
Oh, I hate to admit it and agree with you, but that is true.
He was fired up, and I wanted to go down and enroll, but I was too old. It was the only speech ignored by the Daily News Journal, but it's not Mr. Broden's fault, because he does not work on education matters, and I'm sure he'll take care of that as soon as he gets back to his office. But Mr. Sandler was fired up for the Red Hawks, and by the way, it is well, he can speak to it if he wants to, but it is a stunning building, and will serve our education needs down there for a long time. Am I right,
Absolutely, absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's a great school, and go and support them whenever you can. And I'm sure they'll all be playing each other in something, so or competing. So just jump in. Like I told them yesterday, basically, we're all family, and Rutherford County, we had a lot of complaints when I think we built Blackman High School, that there goes all of our talent, and we're just not going to be anything in sports anymore. And then the next year we got 4 going to the state championship. So it spreads it out, and where everybody can participate and succeed and shine. And so we've got another fine school in Rutherford County. Mighty proud of. Mighty proud. We've even got Tennessee Titans retiring, trying to get in there to assistant principal and coach and do stuff. So.
Any other business? Seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.